Hey guys, so I just want to let you guys know that, part of any marriage, you're gonna run into financial issues and you have to walk that tightrope. So
Hmm.
we're just giving you a little synopsis of our tightrope that we walk through our financial uh
Endeavors, if you
endeavors.
will.
Yeah.
The
And
last 6 years of our finances.
yeah,
No detail, of course. So it's going to be a long one. Strap in for the ride, and we
hope
hope you enjoy.
hope you enjoy. We believe marriage teaches us more about ourselves than we would ever find by only viewing ourselves from a distorted lens.
Don't believe us? Stay tuned if you dare to form a different opinion about yourselves from each episode.
This
This is
is
Unfrequent
Unfrequent
Talks
Talks
with Jenny.
and Aaliyah. Exactly. Anyways, I rest my case. Uh huh.
Who packed up the last 3 times, though?
You did, and you know why? I
Yeah.
don't pack, babe.
You don't pack.
I don't pack.
No.
That I wrote that in our contract when we got
Oh
married.
my
I
god.
don't pack.
Did you know a lot of people like reference that as a contract? Marriage is a contract.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, like if you think about it, it is. But at the same time, like I feel like
It's
you
a
can change
contract.
the terms.
Yeah, I think so too.
Labeling it as a contract, I feel like it's just it gets to your head because your mind has a funny way of when things are labeled a certain way, it
Hmm.
sees it in that way.
Does it make you queasy that it's if someone says if I were to say like this is a contract?
Yeah.
Does it really?
I didn't. It didn't make me queasy when you said I wrote it in the contract because I know,
Okay.
like we're just shooting the shit or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But like, when people are serious and like this, it's a contract. I don't want to sign a contract. Like, ugh. But it's not a contract.
I mean, I feel like they make it sound that way because it does have a negative connotation towards it.
Yeah.
So it's their way of trying to win their case.
Yeah.
I don't want to sign a contract
Yeah. That's so
because
true.
if you wanted to get married, you would never really want to say, "Let's go sign this contract."
No.
No.
Unless, sure, you can say it jokingly, but if you go into it saying this is a contract, your mind can be like, yeah, this is a contract. And then your interactions within your own marriage are going to be like if you were in a contract.
Exactly.
It's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of when things go downhill, I feel like.
Yeah. You know what else goes downhill in marriages?
Finances.
Ooh.
Woo. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, we had an interesting start and dynamic, I feel like, right?
I think so. Because
Very.
for us, you, I had reservations about you with money when we first started dating.
I know.
And you
That
would
was
get
terrible.
paid. And like the next day, I'm like, where's all your money? You're like, oh, I spent it. I'm like,
Okay, to be fair, it wasn't the next day. It was like a week, though. It was by the end of the following week. I would basically be broke, and then I'd have to wait a whole week.
it makes it sound so much better.
It does,
Yes,
okay?
babe.
I mean,
Anyways, I had my
oh
reservations.
my god. I totally get it, though,
Yeah.
because I did. I was terrible with money.
And it's funny because like as we started getting more serious and when we shacked up together to move in with your sister and your brother-in-law, that's when we kind of got a sense of each other's accounts. More
Yeah.
so me because I held on to money
Yeah.
longer than you did. So you got a sense to see what's going on in my account and Did you? I can't remember. Did
Mm.
you, when you worked at that one job, did you have your own bank account or did you share under
Where
my?
I was on second shift?
You had your own bank account because we weren't married yet.
Yeah, we weren't married yet, so I
Yeah.
did. I did have my own bank account.
Yeah. Okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think yeah.
But
I was
yeah,
getting paid through one of those like
ADP cards,
ADP
right?
cards.
That's what it was. I was like, what was it?
Because I wasn't with my bank. I didn't put anything in that bank.
Yeah.
hmm It was. I was bad. I was so bad with money. I was so bad with money. Is that the reason why every time you came up and saw me when we were dating, you would like buy me food? Not only because I didn't eat, but because I didn't have any money. Was that it?
No,
Okay, so it was only because I wouldn't eat.
it was just the nice gesture I wanted to give you.
Mm.
Because I don't know, I put myself in your shoes. For me, like I always made sure I ate because I'm going to work.
Yeah.
So I always want to make sure you ate, especially the odd ass shift you worked. Like
Yeah, I've always worked odd shifts. Oh my gosh.
that was ridiculous. Like you worked from 2 to 11 or whatever the hell that was. So I'm
hmm
like, you need to eat because your breaks were only like fucking 10 minutes or whatever the hell they were.
Slavery.
Yeah. So I always
These
want to
jobs
make
are
sure you
crazy.
ate.
Oh, I appreciate
But
that so much of you. But yeah, I was terrible with money, spending it on any and everything.
mm-hmm.
A lot of it was food, but a lot of it was on other people,
Yeah.
like family members or
Yeah, you
whatever.
were always buying stuff.
I was always buying stuff.
Because I
I remember
really
buying stuff for you too when we started
the
dating.
culprit was when we came back from AT, which
Oh
is
my
annual
god.
training from the guard, and you get that nice paycheck, and your check was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, like that was a nice chunk of money. Like, where'd it go? What'd you spend it on?
I totally understand the reservation because it was a chunk of money. It was like over 1 grand. It was like close to two.
Yeah,
it
it was gone like that.
was gone. It was really bad. I was like overdrafting my account
I've never
constantly.
done it in my life.
Oh,
I
I did
always am
that
terrified to do that.
constantly. Especially when I knew like my payday was coming up. I was like, oh, I just
You
overdrafted
are
and it.
stretching it. My
Girl,
God,
I was
babe.
stretching it like Elastigirl. It was working. I was surviving. It wasn't working.
No, it was not.
It wasn't working at all. So the reservations, like, I totally get it. I think this is the first time I've actually heard you say that you had reservations before we got to married
Oh.
because of the way I was with my spending. Oh my god, that's so bad.
I don't think I took it as serious back then as I
Mm.
do now that we're adults and
Yeah.
we have responsibilities and liabilities.
hmm
But yeah, I did have reservations, but they weren't too strenuous to deter me from dating you. Because we were
Okay.
young. I mean, we were
Yeah.
still young, but we were younger then. So I couldn't blame you. And unfortunately, we don't get a blueprint on how to deal
No.
with money.
No, I know that sucks.
Yeah.
I've always seen like my dad doesn't do that. Like but he does spend a lot of money on stuff that's kind of unnecessary.
Oh yeah.
And again, it goes back, no one ever teaches you.
No.
Especially being like an immigrant
Mm-hmm.
in Mexico, like there's not all these other extra BS type of stuff that you have to like pay into.
Yeah.
So if like you just pay for your necessities in Mexico and like you're good, you get to spend whatever it is you have left. And it's just not that way here.
Yeah.
So when you bring that mindset over here, like it's an adjustment. I'm sure it was a big, big, big adjustment for him. And I mean, he figured it out.
Yeah.
He handled things. But man, no one ever gives you the blue I can't talk. The blueprint for it.
No.
No one ever gives you the blueprint for it. But once we got married, though, I changed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
'Cause I was the big boss of the finances.
I mean, well, so let's unpack that for a second
Let's do it.
because one of the things I wanted to highlight was in the beginning of our marriage when we were dating and in the early years of our marriage, I controlled our finances more so than you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when I had to deploy, that shifted.
Yeah, I did.
You were the person that was going to be in charge of our finances. And when I got back, I let it continue.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an adjustment for us. We had friction at one point because it was an adjustment period for me to see that you could handle your own.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to be so stressed out. And I'm actually super happy it happened because we still do that now where you have a better, I would say, much more of a better handle on the
Mm-hmm.
finances versus I do versus I can't even talk either. You're rubbing off on me, babe. Versus me, but I wouldn't say that I'm bad at handling money. I think I get too anxious
Yeah.
because where I come from, my dad is not the best person with money.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love my dad, and I'm not saying he's not the best person with money. Where he couldn't keep a roof over our head. No, he kept a roof over our head,
Mm-hmm.
clothes on our back, whatever. We had those things, but like you said, when all your bills are paid, what do people do with their money? They spend it on the things they want to do, whether it's gambling, whether it's
Buying
shoes,
miscellaneous
clothes,
stuff.
miscellaneous things. People just like to buy items because the saying goes, the money's burning a hole in their pocket. And so that was these the viral disease that I did not want.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that was my issue is I could keep money,
Mm-hmm.
but when I had it, I'm like, well, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Like I don't really know what to do with it. And then when you wanted to do things with it, I'm like, well, wait, because we never talked about what we're gonna do with it, and now
Right.
we're trying to spend it. I'm not understanding. Like we need I need a path.
I know. I know. Oh my
So,
gosh.
and I say that because now we do money dates,
Mm-hmm.
and we try to stay within our budget that we create with our spreadsheet. And it is not always perfect. Like
Right.
we don't use it as like to the T, and if we miss a dollar or so, whatever, like we're not going to argue and bitch and complain. But we
Mm-hmm.
do have that because it helps me because I'm a very structured person,
Yeah.
and I like to know where the dollars are going because every dollar to me has a placeholder,
Mm-hmm.
and to you have the same intention, but it's not aligned in that manner.
It's not that like matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like that. And I think that's what relieved me from my stress when you
Mm-hmm.
kind of took the role because
Yeah.
I could look at the spreadsheet and I could look at those numbers and I'm like, okay, that's getting paid, money's going here, money's going there. Okay, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then the rest is kind of like, you're just like, okay, I'm a happy camper too because you're letting me control this and take the role on this to
Mm-hmm.
show that you have good intentions with our finances.
Absolutely. That took a while.
Oh, yeah.
That took a
Oh, yeah.
while. I mean, even when we first got married, I wasn't working.
Yeah.
Um, like that wasn't a priority in my mind. Because again, my culture, I was like, I'm married, I'm a wife. That's all I gotta be.
Yeah, that was
So, like when we got into it, a lot of the times over the finances and over me just like not really doing anything, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I should. Maybe the way that I'm thinking that marriage and life and finances should be is not really the way that it's gonna work for us. And that's when I really kind of started shifting my view
yeah.
as far as like the income that I was bringing in and what was going out.
Mm.
And I mean, it wasn't long from when we got married to when you got deployed. It wasn't even a year.
No, it wasn't.
So in that time, I honestly, I hated the fact that you had to go,
Yeah.
but I'm grateful that you left me alone.
It was one of the best things for
It
our
was one
marriage.
of the best things for our marriage. It was one of the best things for me personally to grow into.
Forced you to grow up.
Yes, it really did. It forced me to grow the fuck up and not, for one, not give up like on taking care of myself
Yeah.
and my wants, as well as your wants, because I was buying you stuff too. Like you were deployed.
You
It was
were.
awesome. But also like the needs and saving. And the needs were saving and making sure the bills were paid.
So I want to highlight one thing because I thought it was very profound, and that to me that showed me that you were the person that was going to be my rock to the end of time.
Mm-hmm.
So before I deployed,
Mm-hmm.
we had one car,
Mm-hmm.
and that car note was, I think, was it 10 grand left on it
Yeah.
or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and you paid that off without touching any dollars from my deployment.
Oh yeah.
And you had every legal right to touch it if you wanted to, but you didn't. So how'd you do it?
Yeah, you gave me power of attorney.
I
Like we
did.
had two bank accounts. I want to stress that we had two bank accounts. We
Mm-hmm.
were joint on both of them.
Yeah.
But your checks from the military were going into one,
Mm-hmm.
and my checks from my job were going into the other one.
Okay.
So I don't know. Spreadsheets terrify me.
You've been saying that, yeah.
They intimidate the crap out of me. It looks too professional. It looks too meticulous. And I can't wrap my mind around it.
Okay.
Like I just can't. And so
So what was your method?
my method was honestly like writing the numbers down.
Old school, okay.
Yeah. So I would like go into the account and see like, okay, I have this much in my checking account. I get paid on this date and my check is going to be about the same. So put that number over there. And then the payment for this is over here. And then if I take this much and I pay this every week, then it's going to dwindle that down. And then if I take this much and I put it in the savings account, it's going to build that up. And I'm going to make sure to always keep a certain amount, at least like one paycheck in the checking account, in my checking account at all time.
Even though you're doing all those other things.
Yes, even though I was
Okay.
doing all
Okay.
those other things. And the way that I started was like I had to have, I think I started with like $2,000
Okay.
in the checking account. And that maybe took, I don't know, like 2 months to build that up.
Mm-hmm.
I was still, taking care of the necessities, which is like gas and the other bills and like my food.
Yeah.
But I was like saving that up, and the regular card note as well was still getting taken care of. But once I hit like a certain number, which was the $2,000, I was like, okay, now I can literally like start shoving every week. Like, I think every week I shoved like $500. Sometimes, if it was a good week, I would shove like $1,000 into the car.
Mm-hmm.
And so that like really dwindled it down.
Yeah.
And I did not sacrifice my Starbucks. Even though someone, I won't name any names, my wife, wanted me to stop the consumption of Starbucks. That is what I lived on. Like I literally only lived on like one meal a day. I lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, you
I still look
did.
great, but
Yeah.
I wasn't eating breakfast really like that because I'd have to go to work till like 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get a Starbucks, get
Oh.
two,
Mm.
and a day, and I'll sometimes go out to eat with like some coworkers or whatever, and I'll sometimes make like those ready to eat meals and stuff, those hamburger helpers, whatever, at home
Yeah.
sometimes. But no, that was it. And I was still able to go out and buy myself things. I was still able to go buy you some things. And it was easy, honestly.
You throwing shade and I don't need it.
No. What do you mean? No.
Because a lot of the issues we had stem from that. Like,
Yeah.
on my behalf, like I was really frustrated in Afghanistan, so I took a lot of my frustration out on you when
Yeah.
you were buying things. And in hindsight, it's like you still were taking care of things, even though you were buying yourself stuff.
To be fair, though, like you were in a really stressful environment, like you said.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like you weren't around to witness me like do all these things.
No, it wasn't.
And you didn't really care to go and check the account all the time or ever
No,
really at all, let alone the one that my paychecks were going into.
no,
So,
yeah,
like, you weren't privy to the madness that was
yeah,
getting shit done
yeah,
over on my end. So, I mean, you probably were still caught up on the fact, like, oh my gosh, she's spending money. Especially if I told you, like, oh my god, I went to Marshalls and I bought us some clothes, da da
yeah,
da. And then, like, a day later or 2 days later, I'm like, oh, I went to the mall and I got me some shoes. Then I can 100% understand, like, oh my gosh, she's doing it again. Like, she's literally spending all her money. Like, what the heck? So
yeah.
I totally got it.
That's
But
true.
in 9, 10 months, paid down the 10 grand,
Yeah, you did.
which was awesome. Ooh, now that car's paid off.
Yeah. Out of respect, it's in your name.
Yeah.
I signed it over to you
You did, and
because
I
you
love you for
deserve
that.
it. You worked hard for it. But that brings up something though. So one of my problems, anyways, one of the problems that I have, and I've seen progress with myself recently. Um, I don't like, and I'm pretty sure there's other people out there that are like me, but I'm very what's the word? I struggle to spend money.
Yes. Yes, you
Like I would rather see my money build and
do.
build than to go out and go buy myself something that is just something miscellaneous,
Yeah.
whatever, something that isn't necessary. Just, I mean, pair of shoes, clothes, whatever. Like it's hard for me to just go out and do that
Yeah.
in the past. And recently, I've gotten better where I'm just like, I work so fucking hard. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and buy myself this, buy myself
Mhm.
that. But in the past, I would literally be okay with like buying things for you versus buying things for myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was an issue.
Yeah. Is that why you get anxiety when you like take over or when you think about taking over like the bills and all that stuff and writing down the numbers, the spreadsheet and stuff because like you see it all going out for those
Yes
stuff?
and no. It wasn't until we got that new spreadsheet I got us,
Yeah.
the one that's the most recent one we've used. That one really helped put things in perspective for
Mhm.
me because once I placed our money where it needed to go, I felt like I could breathe. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, because I'm the type of person where, and you know me, you have to show me in order for me to believe you.
Yeah.
Like, if you want me to do something, show me what you want. And I think that spreadsheet helped me because it showed me where our money was going. Because the saying goes, it's like, money is a great servant, but a terrible leader.
Yeah.
And so
That's
when I
true.
saw that I'm controlling our money and putting it in the location it needs to go into, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're left with after everything's said and done. Okay, I'm not crazy. Like, because I'll play the mental ping pong game in my head and thinking, like, if I buy X, Y, and Z, then I'm hurting this
Mm.
bill, or I won't allow us to have money to do whatever we want on this vacation or whatever,
Oh.
which brings us to another connection to this is we've started placing our money in different accounts and looking into uh ahead. Like if
Mhm.
we're going to do a vacation, we put money away for it and we actually break down our checks instead of just saying like, hey, all right, we have this amount of money just sitting there. No,
Yeah.
where's it going? What are we doing with it? So breaking it apart really helps for me too.
That's great, honestly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. You have been a lot better because it took you a while to get your license to pew pew.
Oh yeah, because I was literally
Your pew
like on the
pew.
fence about going to get it.
I
Yeah,
know, and I
that's
probably
true.
didn't help either because of my situation with the guns.
Oh
They
yeah, yeah, yeah,
just give
yeah, yeah.
me anxiety.
Yeah.
I bet you if I tell that to a lot of people, they're gonna be like, "Weren't you in the military?" Look at me like I'm crazy.
I know.
Like, yes, I was.
I know.
And I still have PTSD. I still get anxiety and like panic attacks.
Yeah.
Oh,
But one thing I do appreciate is taking advantage of technology. Like
oh
the
yeah.
different
There's
YouTube
so many.
channels and finance pages people make. Like, we discovered about high yield savings
Oh
accounts
yeah.
and we're taking advantage of that. And, the snowball effect. We love that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of
Mm-hmm.
the very handful of things that I appreciate from Gordon Ramsay because it does work and it makes sense. And if you like take that same logic, which I just really honestly just thought about now, if you take that same logic and like you turn it around for saving, which is essentially what I did, it works too.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. I helped my little sister save up some money and it worked for her.
Yeah, it did.
She only had, I think, one bill because again, she was a teenager at that time.
Yeah.
So she only had like probably was contributing a little bit to her phone bill. Um, so she was able to like take my advice and just kind of build up your checking account
Mm-hmm.
and then start putting stuff away.
Yeah.
And while keeping a certain number, whatever number you're comfortable with, in the checking account at all times while still throwing as much as you can. Because
Yeah.
one thing that really helped with paying off the car while you were deployed was that like the closer it got to my payday, the more I would throw into the car note
Okay.
because like I knew I was gonna get that back and then some.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't completely throw like the whole check. Like let's say I had, I don't know, $800 or something in the checking account and I was gonna get paid in like the next day and I knew I was gonna get paid like over $1,200, I'd be like, okay, so I'm gonna throw like five in there. I'm gonna leave me with three, and then I'm gonna get 12, so I'm gonna have like 1,500.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna get me by for the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and I'll still maybe throw after I get paid. I'll probably throw another 100,
Yeah. Yeah.
another 200, or whatever. But it works, and it's I think what just really helped me grow up, to be honest, because there is no blueprint for the finances, especially when you come from a minority family like us.
Yeah.
You really do not get a holding hand.
No,
You don't get
it's
a board telling you what to do, a spreadsheet, a number by number thing. Like you don't get that. We don't get that.
no, we figured that out on our own.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that is very pertinent about money management is taking it serious and actually sitting down with yourself, even if you're just single, like sitting down with yourself and looking at what is in your account and where is your money going. Because that's like one of the first culprits is you sit down. Because I remember when we did it for the first time, we sat down and we looked at our statements and we're like, damn, we spending all
Whoa.
that on food, we spending all that on this, that. All right, we gotta relax. Like, hold up now. But at first you get you're petrified and you're scared and you're embarrassed, but
Oh.
it's like this is you. It's, you spent this, so you just gotta face it. But then once you sit down and you this, and people don't like this word, but when you budget, it really helps you maintain a nice lifestyle, nice lifestyle,
Yeah.
and it allows you to have access to additional income that you never would have had you not actually sat down with yourself and took yourself serious when it came to
Absolutely.
money management.
Everybody should get a course in money management. And it's so sad that some schools will say, yeah, we're doing a personal finance class, and that's not really it. For
Yeah.
example, my personal finance class did nothing but like watch movies.
Hmm.
We maybe did a couple things here and there in regards to money and stuff, but literally just watch movies. Like
Yeah.
I watched one of my favorite movies, Hotel Rwanda
That's a good movie.
and Coach Carter,
That's a good movie too.
because the teacher, he was the assistant basketball coach,
Hmm.
I think. Great guy. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he was a great guy. But he was not a terrible. He was a terrible finance teacher.
Probably just stucky or doing it just to
Yeah.
do it in
And
between
then
assistant
after
teaching.
that year, he became one of the teachers for the special ed. I don't know, class or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, he thrived there. He was just terrible at personal finance. I think that just involves too much. And some people can be really, really intimidated by numbers,
Yeah.
especially when it involves like your future. It can 100% be really intimidating.
Well, that's funny you say that because
Oh, Lord.
you don't care for understanding stocks,
Oh, no.
and
Oh, my
I
gosh.
do. Stocks are very important. And if you don't know what a stock is, Google it because I am not a personal finance person. What do you call it? A personal finance
Advisor.
advisor.
Everything we say here is not under the advisement of personal finance.
Yeah, like
This is
this
all
is
our own personal
us.
journey.
Yeah,
Full disclaimer, we are not licensed, we're not certified, nothing. This is our experience,
exactly.
and
We're just sharing it.
we're just sharing it with y'all. And you're 100% right. I'm so sorry to cut you off. I am terrified of stocks.
Yeah, you are.
I am confused. I don't understand them, but I'm happy you do.
So that's something I do take the lead on.
Yes.
And it's part of our budget. So everything we talk about is something that is now a part of our budget.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just take a lump sum of money and slap it somewhere. I know that's Jenny. That was Jenny's logic back then to get through her fears of spreadsheets, but spreadsheets are here to stay, and we use spreadsheets.
Yes.
But we do include that in part of our money management
Yeah, money
and
dates.
yeah, money dates. But yeah, like stocks are very important, especially with you being an entrepreneur. You definitely don't want to have more money that you owe to the government than you need to.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to mitigate that is by putting money into your stocks because it's money that the government cannot tax because
Mm-hmm.
you're saving it for your retirement.
Exactly. And I am so grateful for you for that.
Fun fact: they raised the price of the amount you can contribute.
Mm-hmm.
In 2023, you could contribute up to 6,500
Mm-hmm.
per your IRA or um, Roth IRA, but now they raised it to 7,000. So that's gonna be
What?
nice. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
That's gonna be come in handy because this year's about to be busy.
yeah. It is.
This year is about to be so busy for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing too that I'm really, really grateful for you for, and that you used to say all the time, and you're gonna continue to say this until the end of time. Is like we got to get a handle on our money before our money gets a handle on us, because
Yes.
we are only going to be increasing our household income
Yeah.
as the years go by,
Mm-hmm.
and as our family grows. We're gonna have no choice but to continue to grow our household income for them and for
Yeah.
us, and to make sure we're more than comfortable. So I am so, so grateful for you for pulling in the reins on the things that I can't, because I think that's what really, really makes us a great team, because there was so many instances
Yeah.
where we were butting heads
Yeah.
a whole lot, especially when you got out of the military, because I think you really had more time to be present.
Yeah.
And so you had more time to be present in our finances as
Yeah.
well.
That's so
And
true.
as soon as, you got out and we moved to this area, I was trying to pick up my pace and start my pace, honestly, not pick up, but start it
Yeah.
with real estate. So it was a shock to you, I think, right?
Yeah. It was. It
Yeah.
definitely was. It. One of the things as I look back, and I don't know how you're gonna take this. I'm
Oh,
just gonna say
Lord.
it. This is not edited, so how you respond, how you respond. But
Okay.
if I'm being honest, I don't think I had enough. respect in the manner of which you handle money to want to give the floor to your opinion on certain things when it came to money.
That honestly makes a lot of sense.
And I think that's why we clash so much.
Hmm.
Because if you don't respect someone, you're not going to value their opinion.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I started to actually give you the respect that you always give to me, then we started collaborating easily and
Hmm.
more effectively.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
he really did. Oh my goodness, babe, that makes a lot of sense.
does it?
It really does.
Yeah. I I
I used
would
to get on you
yeah.
for like not wanting to do anything, and I'm like, we are literally fine. We are more than fine. Some people would say that we are rich. We're not, but we are fine.
Oh, we damn sure ain't rich.
We are fine.
Okay, yeah, we're fine.
And you were like, "Ah."
Yeah, I was. I was in my head too much.
Yeah.
I lived in my head a lot.
I think, do you think the military kind of didn't allow you to be in your head because it kept you so busy that once you got out, like, you were in your head about everything?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Especially with the whole transition,
Hmm.
because they don't really hold your hand as you transition out. Like, it's survival of the fittest. It's like, you said you're gonna end your contract on this date. Okay, we'll make sure you have your paychecks, but after that,
Bye.
bye.
Hmm.
So that was all up to me to figure it out. But I left out the single most important part is that I always had you. So it was up to us to figure it out. And
Hmm.
that's what I forgot when I got out. I kept relying on just me.
Oh, don't make me cry.
I kept
Uh,
relying on me.
oh my goodness. Yeah, you did. Oh my gosh. Because that was one of, like, my arguments towards you was the fact that, like, you were just doing stuff on your own.
I
Were you
was.
doing it for us? 1000%. And I was appreciative that
Yeah,
you were thinking about us, but you weren't including me.
I was not.
And that, I think, hurt more than the actual thing that you would go out and do for us, whatever
I
it was.
excluded you from all the dealings that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the scariest part was I didn't want to include you because I am a person that I truly believe that circumstances do not make anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like regardless of your circumstances, you can make wine out of water. Like, you can do it. You just have to believe. And I always feared that if I exposed you to my ambitions, that you would shoot my dreams down. And that would hurt me even more because I love you so dearly. So it was kind of like a catch 22 at that point. It's like, if I tell her and she tries to shoot me down and she just says, like, just be grateful you're not in the military anymore, and just be grateful that you get to come home after 3 o'clock. Like, let's just live like that, because I didn't get to have that with you when you're in the military. I think that would have shattered me.
Oh my gosh. Are you trying to make me cry?
I'm not. I'm just being me.
I know. Oh, that's so crazy that, like, that's what was going on in your mind, because that's like what was what you were projecting onto me, you know? With my whole ideas and trying to start up my business in real estate in an area that we know nobody in.
Yeah,
And he was just like, you know,
I was.
shooting them
I
down.
was shooting
And so
down.
it's crazy to hear you say that that's you were afraid of me doing that to you. That
And
is
it's like, I
so
did that to you because I was
insane.
afraid you were gonna do that to me.
Oh my
So I was
god.
trying to beat you to the punch.
Look at that. We're having therapy on a finance episode. Dr. Cohen would be proud. That makes a lot of sense, babe. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
it does.
Oh, that's so great. I think another thing too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but on top of what you have just shared,
Hmm.
I think also, like, you you weren't really privy to my style of taking care of our finances even after you got back from deployment, because you got ranked up while you were deployed. So you came back with a lot of responsibilities
Yeah.
and a lot of heads you had to take care of and a lot of heads you had to report to.
Yeah.
So even when you came back, you really didn't like see what the hell was going on and what I was doing as
Mm-mm.
far as our finances. So that makes it makes sense why, like as soon as you got out, you were like not respecting it because you really weren't in bed with it. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
weren't
I
in
wasn't
bed with me.
present.
There was no conversation, I don't think,
Oh my
ever.
God. I don't
Even
think
when
we
you came
talked
back,
about
we never
finances when we were
talked
in the
about it.
military.
Mm-mm. And so you, even though when you came back, you let me continue with our finances the way I was doing it. You
Yeah.
didn't know, like you know, you just let me do it.
I
And
did.
then that whole thing happened when we got out. That
Yeah.
caused us to move to a different area, and you just kind of like that's when you really were like, okay, I really gotta take care of us because I gotta figure this out. I'm not in the military anymore. I'm not gonna get a check on the
First and
first
the
and
15th.
15th
Yeah.
of every month. Oh boy, that was rough.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole not taking me into consideration when making choices started.
Yeah.
I think when I don't know, when would you say?
Mm.
Was it before?
I think it was before we moved here.
Right. No, for sure.
I think when we were there, I still was in my phase of like, just go,
Mhm.
go, go, go. Don't think about it and worry about the consequences later.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I would say then is when I was just like not respecting, not even, it was so bad. I didn't even like consider having a conversation with you. I was just like,
No.
I'm not doing that. I'm going to do this. Let's go. And I just expected you to like oblige and then let's roll. And,
And that's what I
that
did.
shook our marriage a little bit because you're just
Yeah.
like, how dare you? Like,
Yeah.
again?
Right. Literally again. And then it kept happening. I was like, again, especially when it came to our finances. It was like, again, okay, let me tell her about herself. And then you'd be like, okay, no, I'm better. And then it would happen again.
Yeah,
And again. And of course, while these things were happening, you weren't aware of yourself the way that you are now,
very true.
which I am grateful that you have come this far because, oof.
I know.
Ah,
Hell of a track record around here,
oh
but
my God.
but yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to go through this with anyone else but
No.
you because in the grand scheme of things, the only way we could have known or how we could have actually experienced this, what we have now, because what we have now is great. This
Yeah.
dynamic works in our finances. Like we sing to the same drum and we are moving. Like
Yeah, we are.
we've been through a lot to get to this place that we deserve to
Hmm.
experience it. But the only way we would have been able to experience it is by going through everything we went through.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I think this highlights the one message Fluffy was saying at his show
Oh my
this past
gosh.
weekend.
Yeah.
He's great. I love him.
Yes.
And he basically said, like, the experiences helped him be the Fluffy you see today.
Yeah.
And I think that's true in our marriage. Like, what you see today is
Hmm.
the experiences we went through because they weren't always great. They were, and many times they were really bad. Like,
Yes.
they were bad.
They-
They were. Like we weren't in good places, but
no.
we muscled through it
Hmm.
because we knew on the other side it was something greater.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note when you're in a marriage, if there's like an issue over something, it's typically never that. that is the actual problem.
It's the problem behind
It's
the
the problem
problem.
behind the problem. And for us, like, the problem wasn't like our finances or how you dealt with finances versus how I dealt with finances. That wasn't the problem, because we both knew that you were really good with money and we both knew that I was really good with money.
Yeah,
It was something deeper than
it
that, and
was.
it was a lack of communication.
And a lack of
We
respect.
And a lack of respect. We weren't communicating with each other properly and effectively, to where, one, the other person can actually hear us and listen to us and understand us, and so you don't feel like disrespected
Yeah.
while trying to talk about the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to the table calm, cool and collected is always nice, but when you can't control that continuously throughout the whole conversation, that's when kind of it always turns rocky.
Yeah.
And the lack of respect was a big thing too.
Yeah. That's true.
And it's so crazy because when we actually sat down and talked to our therapist, he was like, you guys are saying like the exact same thing. Like, the issue is the exact same thing. The issue is the lack of communication and
Yeah.
the lack of respect.
Yeah.
So we just had to really find a way that our communication dances cohesively
Yeah.
with one another, and everything else, including our finance issues, have really settled into place.
They have.
Really, really
Yeah.
settled.
I agree.
And they haven't turned into anything crazy. We still do our bunny dates.
Yeah.
We don't overthink, especially you. We don't overthink about things that are going on in our
Yeah.
finances. You're like, okay, well, do better for next month. Now we know we're going to do better for the following months moving forward.
And I appreciate that you have acknowledged that I haven't overthink so much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice to hear. Because it's nice not living in my head anymore.
I
I
bet.
mean, as much. Because I still live in my head, but
Yeah.
not on that fucking scale. 'Cause that was crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bad. it's it's nice to know that you've noticed,
100%.
because I really am working more towards being present. Like, that's my theme for 2024, is like being in the
Oh, I
moment.
burped.
What'd you just do?
I burped. It's like a
Oh,
quiet burp. I'm sorry.
I was supposed to say excuse you. You supposed to say excuse me.
Excuse me. I said I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Anyways. But yeah, I'm happy. Pat myself on the back,
Yes.
because I really have been living in my head like for many years in our marriage, and it's nice
Mhm.
to be on the other side.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It is. It's nice to be on the other side with you too.
Yeah,
And I'm so proud of you,
thank you.
because you have come such a long way in
So,
thebomb.com.
if we want to leave anything with our listeners, I'm gonna say this: everyone has their own song and dance that they're singing to in their marriage, or if you're
Mm-hmm.
listening as an individual. But the key is, are you guys on the same song and dance? Like,
Mm-hmm.
choose the right song and dance that you both agree to, because that's the only way you're gonna get through the challenges you're gonna go through.
Yeah.
Because no one's saying that because you chose the right song and the right dance and you agreed upon it doesn't mean you're not gonna go through obstacles. Like, you still are. And that's what I'm learning in our marriage, is the problems aren't gonna stop. Like, we're
No.
gonna have problems, and that's okay. As I always tell you, no problem is bigger than us as long as we come out on the other side of it together. If we come out on the other side apart, then that problem must have been bigger than us, and that's an issue. But
That's so true.
I would just leave them with that, and knowing that thinking for the future is always in your best interest.
Yeah.
Like, there are some people that really only think about next week, let alone next month, let alone 3 months or 6 months. And that scares me for our society, because we're living in a time where inflation is running faster than anyone can catch up to it.
Yeah.
So it behooves us to plan ahead and to think about our future self. My future self's name is Alicia. I think yours is Dawn,
I think mine is
right?
Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think about her. Like, I want her to be okay, and I don't want her to be stressed out. And some people get used to doing that, but that's not cool.
No. Oh my gosh.
And
No.
high yield savings accounts are your best friends. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I am not a financial advisor. They are your best friend. It's the best time to do it now because interest rates are high, and let interest rates be your best friend. Like,
Right.
interest rates can be your best friend, but if you work against it, it can be your worst enemy.
Absolutely. And we are definitely going to talk more as, we build our wealth because that's our goal
Yeah,
for our future selves
exactly.
is to have that wealth built. So we're definitely going to make and have a lot of different episodes talking about different financial aspects, different our different sources of income, all that fun jazz. So we are so thrilled to continue to be growing with each other. So thrilled to continue to grow our finances and so thrilled that we get to share this with you guys, our listeners, um, our UTP fam.
Yeah,
We're so grateful and so happy, and we can't wait to do it again.
absolutely. I will say this though, 'cause I know there's people out
Oh
there.
Lord.
I am not a fan of separate accounts. That is not my jam.
Oh yeah,
I don't
no.
agree to that. Some people are prefer that, and I know people go into marriages and they're already established. I get it, but for us, I think that because we weren't established when we met, that's like the best thing that happened in our marriage.
Oh yeah,
Like
I'll
meeting you
forever
when I was
ever
dirt
be
broke
grateful.
and meeting you when you were dirt broke makes everything worthwhile that we have now.
Oh my goodness,
Because
yes.
I know for a fact you don't want me for my money because I didn't have money when I started with
Nope.
you. And what I also want to highlight that I didn't highlight earlier is when I did get deployed and I hear all those horror stories of people getting,
Oh man.
finessed with their money, and their wives are buying houses and cars under their name without them even knowing because they have power of attorney. When you didn't do that, that showed me that I never ever ever would have to worry about anything and I could trust you. And the one thing most importantly is that money didn't move you, because
No.
money moves a lot of people. And so to see that it didn't move you, that's how I knew, like, it stamped it even more. I was like, I married the right one.
Mm,
And because you don't know who you're marrying until you're married to them. Like,
that's
let's
true.
just be honest.
That is true.
Like, I get all this, the senses and the intuition. Yeah, it's there. Ooh, yeah.
Red flags,
But
green flags, whatever you want to call
yeah,
them. You
red
don't know
flags.
nothing until you're in
But
it.
guess what's in front of those red flags? Clouds, because you high as hell on fucking love. And looks, you're like, damn, she looks so good. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna figure it out.
Ay, Dios.
And guess what? We figured it out.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, honey. That is so
Yeah,
sweet. Oh, I appreciate you so much.
I love you.
I love you most, but I remember the stories that you used to tell me about your battles and like, ooh, rough.
Yeah,
And even not only the stories, but like your peers were coming up to you and like telling you, "Aren't you worried she's gonna take off and run with all your money while you were deployed?"
oh yeah,
Like that
oh
was
yeah.
crazy. Like first of all, who the fuck are you? I can't stand. Oh, that's another conversation for another
Okay,
day.
okay, okay.
Because I can go on and on and on and on and on and on about the BS.
But you
Ah,
this is good that you're saying this, because this goes to show you that I knew I know what I think of you,
mm-hmm.
and even though I know what I think of you, people will always have an opinion,
Always.
and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That is okay.
And it's up to me to, tune them out,
Mm-hmm.
or other people like to tune them in, and that's not doing you any service. But
Mm-mm.
that's why I tune them out, because I know who I'm married. I never, and people always ask, like, how do you know? How do you know? And it's like, you just know.
Yeah.
Like you just know.
And it's never like one thing, it's like a multitude of things
Yes.
that you're like, yep, yep, yep. Maybe not, but yep.
Yeah. Like,
So
was there
then that's
some
when it's
quirky things
like,
about you in the beginning? I'm like, yeah, of course. And I'm seeing them, and I know you seeing quirky things about me now. You're like, okay, got it. But that's the song and dance that we're singing to. So
exactly. And we're gonna continue to sing that song and dance because we're gonna forever be evolving.
yeah,
And I absolutely love that. And we know, like I definitely know, and I know you know as well, that people aren't gonna be 100%. Not everybody's gonna be 100% on board on our style of finances in our marriage. And
absolutely.
that is okay.
This is what works
That
for
is
us.
what works for us exactly. And that's one thing that we'll leave you guys with is don't worry about anything that anyone says. Find what works for you, whether that be how to handle your finances, how to handle your marriage, how to handle your career, everything. Find what works for you and don't worry about what the fuck anybody else has to say
No, because people are gonna talk.
until they're blue in the face.
Yeah,
Until you're gone, until they're gone, they're going to talk. Because
it
that's what
don't
people do.
matter. Well, it don't matter.
Absolutely. Nothing at all.
I enjoyed
Take
this
it or leave it.
conversation.
I enjoyed it even less. I love you so much.
I love you more, thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.